In my video talking about Hugo in Omega Street Fighter 4, what I was trying to get across is that while Hugo's not a bad character in Omega, I really don't like what they did with him. He's better than Ultra Hugo in a lot of ways, but the ways they did that just aren't that fun to me, and he lost a lot of his identity in my opinion. Something I didn't mention in the Hugo video though, is that in Omega you can quick stand all throws. This isn't actually all that relevant to Hugo, because for some reason you can't quick stand his SPD, unlike most other command grabs in Omega. However, this is overall a big nerf to grapplers. Secondly, Omega doesn't have red focus, which tends to be quite good on grapplers. As an example, probably the single scariest use of red focus in the entire game was after EX Green Hand. This is absolutely terrifying. It does cost 4 bars, but the damage is fantastic and you just get your opponent in the corner for free. To top it off, EX Green Hand was invincible. Probably the best example of a traditional grappler in Omega is Zangief. They really doubled down on him, absolute tank of a character, probably to make up for the fact that he doesn't get much Oki anymore. Despite just how obscene his damage is, he's absolutely terrible, because he just has no good way to keep up the pressure. Omega does have top and high tier grapplers, however that's usually because of their other weaker tools getting buffed outside of their command grabs and such. T-Hawk, for example, actually had his command grab nerfed. The startup went from 2 to 4 frames. However, he's an infinitely better character, because the rest of his kit is so much more fleshed out.
I can feel the power of the earth!
Despite his rather boring design and personality, I think Abel is one of the coolest characters to come out of Street Fighter lately. I absolutely love watching him, and I just love his playstyle. It's super unique and interesting. However, I really don't like what they did with it in Omega. So, what makes Abel so unique? For a start, his command grab. It's a little slower than most command grabs, however, it has throw invincibility. EX is the same speed but has hit invincibility instead of throw invincibility. Other interesting things about Abel include his crouching medium kick not hitting low, but to compensate, it's cancelable. This is really nice for cancelling into things like roll, which let you keep up your pressure pretty nicely. I think his normals as a whole are really cool. For example, all of his close punches hit twice. And he has Urian's crouching heavy punch. Another iconic normal he has is step kick. It can be dash cancelled, which is +4 on hit and +1 on block. This gives you a frame perfect but very useful link into close heavy punch. This is quite difficult but very useful because Abel's close heavy punch leads to his most damaging combos. I would argue the most iconic thing about Abel is the fact that he's a grappler with a wrecker. The second and third hits can either be overheads that combo on hit, or lows that don't. So, how did Abel's iconic wrecker transition to Omega mode? Wait, what the fuck, go back, oh my god. So yeah, Abel's iconic wrecker, change of direction, is just completely gone and been replaced with this weird new special move called grappling. Real creative name, guys. Light and medium have decent range, decent damage, and send the opponent behind and in front of you respectively. Heavy does less damage and has much smaller range, but it brings the opponent to the corner. It's kind of like a diet meat squasher. The attacks from his wrecker have just been gutted and made into command normals. His forward heavy punch looks like the first hit of change of direction. Forward medium punch looks like the overhead, and his new crouching medium kick looks like the second low. His old crouching medium kick is now down forward medium kick. This is significantly worse overall. For example, you might have noticed that the attack that uses the animation of the overhead is no longer an overhead. To compensate, his wheel kicks were buffed as overheads. They're a bit safer on block now. Light is like -4 or -5, down from -10. Overall though, I'd consider this a massive downgrade. So yeah, what they did to change of direction is definitely a bit of a bummer, but let's check out what his rolls are like. And they're gone. That's actually not entirely true. He still does have the roll, but he can only do it on Wake Up. Overall, this is a massive downgrade. It's not that I don't like the new moves Abel has, it's that I don't like that they're replacing key parts of his kit. I complained about Hugo not feeling like Hugo, but at the end of the day, he had the same tools, it's just that they were adjusted to balance out his new tools. Abel's just kind of all over the place, and I really don't like it overall. For the record, this move isn't bad or anything. For a start, it's a really nice combo ender on the ground. This actually does a lot for Abel, because in Ultra, his grounded combo enders are a little bit limited. The full change of direction is nice, but it swaps sides. The first hit of change of direction leaves you +2 in the opponent's face, but it does very low damage, and wheel kick is strong, but minus on hit. If you hold down kick, you can charge the tackle. This makes light and medium do 40 more damage, and heavy do 50 more damage. Also, when charged, they break armor. You can press punch while charging a tackle to cancel it. This kind of reminds me of Sean's tackle in Third Strike, and honestly, it's not that much better in my opinion. You'll pretty much never plus after a cancel into a cancelled tackle. On top of that, there's nothing that scary about blocking a tackle. They're all safe, but none of them are plus. Light and medium feel -2 and -1 on block respectively, while heavy and all charge tackles are 0 on block. There's a lot of pushback too, so your ability to push a mix-up after is limited. EX Tackle is actually really fucking cool. It's very unsafe on block, but it gives you a wall bounce. You can get some very impressive damage for 1 bar. You can squeeze out a tiny bit more damage in the corner. You might have noticed that in that juggle, I managed to get only the first hit of Abel's standing heavy punch. The reason for that is that all his close punches actually have target combos now. It does more damage while knocking down, while still being just as safe, so I think this is an improvement. It's the same case for medium punch. His close light punch got the same treatment, but it's actually really hard to get the target combo instead of just linking 2 light jabs. You can tell I just got it because it did 70 damage instead of 60. I don't think it's a big deal. Something you might be wondering about is step kick cancels and how they're significantly easier in Omega, and yeah, because of Omega's 3 frames of input buffer, the main weakness of step kick into heavy punch, being its 1 frame window, is gone. However, to compensate, step kick received one absolutely massive nerf, and I think it hugely outweighs the easier link. It's not forward medium kick. It's close medium kick. This ruins so much of Abel's game plan in Ultra, and I'll explain why. The reason being able to do step kick from range is so important to Abel is because it just makes him so much more threatening in the mid-range. Even if you struggle with the link, and fair enough, it's a 1 frame link, it's hard. You're still in the opponent's face with plus frames, even on block. That is so powerful for a grappler, because even if you're not getting the link, you're at the very least getting a mix-up, which is what grapplers live and die by. Technically, Abel still gets this mix-up, but he's getting it when he's right next to the opponent, which, guess what, dipshit, is where every grappler in the entire game already has a massive mix-up. It's just redundant. All you're getting is a slightly stronger and easier link at the cost of what makes Abel such a good character. His new mid-range tools just are nowhere near as good in my opinion. Forward heavy punch is an advancing poke, and so is light tackle. These are both safe and pretty fast, but they're not as fast as step kick, and instead of being +1 on block, they're -2, which is just nowhere near as good. His new grappling move seems like it would be great in the mid-range, but for some really strange reason, you can't cancel into it. This removes pretty much any potential for tick throws, and massively decreases the use of the move. Speaking of this move, let's talk about EX grappling. It costs 2 bars, it's kind of like a mini super, which is something pretty common in Omega. Like the other versions, you can't cancel into it for tick throws, and since it's a grab, you can't combo into it outside of focus, where honestly, I think you'd almost always rather do ultra. Also, I really fucking hate how this positions you. You're still facing the opponent, but you're moving backwards. This is pretty much the worst possible way you could move your opponent. If you have your opponent cornered, you've just taken them out of the corner. If you're cornered, you're still in the corner. Also, since tackle knocks down and change of direction is gone, Omega Abel's use of FADC is pretty limited. The best new use I could find was optimizing damage after long range punishes with forward heavy punch. For the record, Abel's ultras are both pretty much the same. I was really hoping EX Tackle would give him a combo to Ultra 1, but no dice. So, I hope I was able to lay out on the table the stable fable of Abel's Disable. I really do not like this character. It's pretty much the same story with Omega Hugo, but worse. Instead of giving him some new tools, but making the ones he had worse, a lot of the tools he had are just gone. And the new tools he got, they're okay, but nothing amazing.